Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. This is Steel Curtain Network editor Dave Scofield coming at you Tuesday night, a little bit after 9 p.m. Where else would you rather be as a Steelers fan? And with me as always, except when he's not, is my big brother Rich, Big Bro Scho. How's it going tonight?
Oh, it goes. But first, everybody needs to prepare themselves for this. Get yourselves comfortable, stretch out. Okay? Because we're going to breathe in that sweet smell of a Steeler victory.
There we go. Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes I think we got to remember stuff. There actually was a Steelers victory. Because sometimes fans are just not happy with the way things play out. Okay. And I actually talked about at the very end of the Mike Tomlin press conference recap today. I'm like, you know what? It's the Steelers won, but is that kind of what you've been hearing? That's what I've been hearing. The Steelers won, but.
Well, a little. I've heard some of that. Maybe not as much as you'd think. Actually, I saw a clip from Mike Greenberg or whatever, talking about Aaron Rodgers, and he was good, and he was going to be good, and no surprises, and the reason he was going to be good could be summed up by several things, all of which begin with Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
And just, there was a lot of good to take from that game. There was some confusion to take out of that from that game, and there was some bad to take out of that game.
Yeah, but I think Mike Tomlin said it best earlier today during his press conference when he's like, we've got a lot of stuff to work on, but it's nice to win along the way while you're doing so. So that's the thing. Would you expect that version of the Pittsburgh Steelers to go into the playoffs and necessarily win a game right now? No. I tell you what, that's not what I expected from the offense.
No.
I did not expect 34 points. And it's really the passing offense.
And if you have not gotten the chance, you need to go over to steelcurtainnetwork.com and you need to check out the story by one coach, K.T. Smith, talking about Arthur Smith and the offense and some of that. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, because bottom line is the Steelers did things in this game that I did not expect them to do from a good standpoint, and they did things in this game that I did not expect them to do from a bad standpoint. I'm the first to say on the postgame show, I'll own up to it. I'll eat the crow. I said to Brian Anthony Davis, you really think the Jets are going to score 27 points on the Steelers? I didn't. A lot of people didn't. And they scored 32.
Yeah.
The defense was a concern. I think some things improved as they went on, and some things not as much. The run offense was definitely a concern. I don't think that's all running backs. I don't think it's all linemen. I think it's a combination of both. And I also think it's a three-way street, because I also think it's a combination of a pretty good defense that they against the run that they were playing, which wasn't the case necessarily with the Jets before. But part of that is what we're going to look at tonight, because we go from, hey, last week, how excited were we in order to be going into week one of the Steelers football, or the stuff for Steelers football, have it back, everything else, we were overjoyed. Then all of a sudden, all right, week one's done. Now you're into the grind. And to me, I've often said week two puts week one into perspective. We don't know what some teams are because we've seen them play one regular season game. Are the Steelers a good offense, or are the Jets a bad defense? Are the Steelers a bad defense, or are the Jets a much better offense than we expected?
And in all the games that were played this weekend, the teams had months to prepare for the team they were going to play week one.
Yeah.
Months.
Yeah.
Now we get days.
Now you get the week. That's what you get. So, yeah, and that's why that week 2 Thursday night game is always crazy. Because you get, I have all those months, and then you got to play short week to play. And that's what? Commanders, Packers? Commanders, somebody. I don't even know. It doesn't matter.
Hey,
So,
and Kyle, who plays on Thursday night? Don't shrug your shoulders at me.
he shrugs his shoulders. All right. So before we dive into some stuff, let's get to some news real quick before we then talk a little bit break. Yep. I think everything that we're going to talk about from the game is also going to be kind of talking about stuff that we want to see this week. Tuesday is the turnover day. This is the day where you're kind of a transition from what just happened into gotta be prepping what's going on for the next game. So that's what we try to do here. So even as we look back at stuff, a lot of it's going to be from a perspective of what are you going to do with it moving forward. But there was some news. It was reported and confirmed by Mike Tomlin, although still not officially announced by the team, that the Steelers are signing safety Jabril Peppers. When you first heard that, you thought, uh-oh, must be big-time problem with Deshaun Elliott. Then the reports are, not big-time problem with Deshaun Elliott. He has been ruled out for this week. It's an MCL sprain, is what's been reported. Mike Tomlin didn't say that specifically in his press conference. But we're talking games. We're talking potentially not even an IR stent. I mean, they could do it.
They could do it because
but they don't have to.
Depending on how badly an MCL is sprained, typically you're looking anywhere from 2 to 6.
Because that's
as much
exactly
as 6 weeks to recover.
Which is exactly what we had from Derek Harmon.
Yes.
That's the same thing that he was dealing with. Now, Coach Tomlin went ahead and said that he'd imagine he's going to be out this week as well. He said Harmon, Elliott, and Malik Harrison are all expected to be out this week. Don't get your hopes up just because he said expected, but I'm expecting to hopefully seeing some LP next to Derek Harmon this week. Because to me, that's what it's going to take to get him back. So that's what we're going to do. It's going to be interesting to see the official roster move that the Steelers do. They don't have to announce it now because they just have to do it before they practice, which they'll do tomorrow on Wednesday. So we'll see then what the deal is with Peppers. To me, if someone doesn't go on IR, then it's either one of the offensive linemen or defensive linemen because they basically got 2 extra of each of those. I would assume it would be an offensive lineman because, Derek Harmon's out. But it wouldn't have to be. So that's really just, the Steelers swapped out a wide receiver in the practice squad on Monday. But that's the biggest news with everything that I can think of. Can you think of anything else that would have been it?
No, that's pretty much, besides game talk, that's all we really had to cover.
Oh, yeah. Players that they're hopeful will play, but not for sure.
Yeah.
Both. It's funny because all 3 guys that are out, someone said that as Brian said in the live chat, all knee injuries. Yeah. Well, the guys that rule out. The guys that they don't know, all hamstring injuries. That's Nick Herbig and that's Joey Porter Jr. So that's the stuff that's going on. So 3 out, 2 maybes, and we'll see how the injury reports go this week. Rich, what's the first thing you kind of want to address from the Steelers game this past week?
Oh, I don't know. I could go in any of about half a bazillion directions. Why?
Okay. I'll ask you one quick question, so we'll get this out of the way. How great is Chris Boswell?
He is the best kicker in the NFL. I said that last year, and my thought on that has not changed.
60 yards, right down the middle. And I'm going at what's that?
All the way to the net. Yes, the guy.
I'm going at least 8.
Yeah,
I think he would have had another 8 for sure, maybe 10.
I was thinking it would get at least 7. You were looking at that would have been good from 67, maybe better. And That was amazing. And right down the middle.
Yeah. And it didn't, I mean, that's the key with it is you don't overkick because he just kicked it.
Yeah.
It just looked like a Boswell kick. So that's some pretty interesting stuff. So do that. I mean, special teams as a whole, there was how I say it. I didn't think the Steelers were as bad on kickoff coverage as they had been in the preseason. Not that it was great. The one thing that was great was getting the turnover on kickoff coverage.
Yeah.
That was really great. Punting it was all right. It was nothing to write home about, but it wasn't. It let's say, in the words of Coach Tomlin, it didn't kill us.
It was
So
nice to not get a Presley Harvin Chankopotamus.
yeah, so it was pretty good. So I think that pretty much wraps up special teams, right? You had them line up with too many guys on one side of the ball. My goodness. I mean, the Jets missed the extra point because that penalty doesn't matter if they make the extra point, unless they then decide to go for two.
Right.
But man, when you miss that extra point and have a chance to go a little bit closer and get that point back, that's kind of hard to pass up on that.
And they passed it up.
And that was a big play for the Steelers to stop that
was.
from the one.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So which ended up being some pretty big plays. They stopped two-point conversions. That to me, that's not special teams. That's still defense. So, all right.
That's just 7 shots.
Yes. So special teams, of course, was a big plus. When you look at both the offense and the defense, do you have to narrow it down that the only real big plus was the passing offense?
Actually, no, you don't. Because I didn't think the passing defense was terrible.
Yeah.
The terrible came from defending the run and running the ball. Everything I had to do with running was bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, I would say the Steelers' passing game was better than their passing defense, but the passing defense wasn't horrible.
No.
And honestly, may have been better if they could have stopped the run. Because they were so worried about trying to stop the run, but when you really look at it, we didn't give up big passing plays.
I mean, the biggest was the touchdown. That was frustrating. I don't remember seeing Darius Slay on Garrett Wilson again after that. If he was, it wasn't when he was targeted.
Right.
So
actually, that's the only one I remember. How many?
No, there was one. There was one before
Slay?
that to Garrett Wilson that it was Slay. I remember before the touchdown.
I was going to say, it was so little at Slay that when it first happened, Warren and I were trying to figure out who number 23 was.
Uh huh.
So
I got you.
Also, was looking that. I know nothing was said, but I wondered if there was a miscommunication in that as well.
Yeah.
Because it was almost like they acted like we were going to pass guys off on that crossing route and then didn't.
Yeah.
It looked like Slay started to slow up on the crossing route, like he was going to change where he was going, and then he had kicked it back into gear. But by that time, he was beat.
Yeah, he wasn't going to catch up. Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's start with the offense, and we'll knock out some of the passing offense. First things first, and I said it before, and I think it's going to be a key throughout the year. I think it's going to be most important in the first part of the year. I think that's something that can improve. You've got to protect. And there was times that the protection was not there. Coach Tomlin said, Aaron took too many hits. He said that. He even kind of said the same thing about Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu, but no, Troy Fautanu I thought had a better game, but it's not like he didn't have a couple times that some things came by. And I watched the clip that I actually shared it in our Slack channel where someone put them all together. Every passing play by pass block by Broderick Jones. There were some decent reps in there.
Yes, there were. But the problem is they were good or they were horrible.
Yes.
There wasn't much where it wasn't pretty but got the job done. No,
Well,
it was either, hey, he did a good job holding his guy up there, or, wow, has this guy ever played tackle before?
honestly, what I think it was is I don't think that there was no in between. I just think that any time that he did something not exactly right, they made him pay.
Yeah.
If it was just off a little, they made him pay. So it was. I also think it's crazy that, I mean, I couldn't believe it with some of the stuff I'm seeing already. We are one game into the season where Broderick Jones just got his second start ever at left tackle. No, there was some things that were not good. And there are literally people asking if Darnell Washington can play left tackle right now.
I'll tell you what I think.
Talk
Broderick
about an
Jones.
overreaction.
let me tell you what Broderick Jones needs, okay? And looking at some of those clips from the other day. You'll like this. We'll even have fans out there that'll like this because some people will get this reference, okay? Broderick Jones needs a week at Rudy Maurice's basketball camp in Waynesburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Rudy Maurice, a legendary Waynesburg College basketball coach who
That
he passed
man-
away. He passed away within the
Yeah.
last, 5 years maybe?
Five or 6 years, yeah.
Yeah.
The man taught me how to play defense to where I became a defensive fiend. But it all came down to putting in the work to where you were comfortable getting your butt down.
Yeah.
Broderick Jones is playing too straight up. He needs to get in that defensive basketball stance and get his butt down. But the problem is, if you're not used to that, it makes your legs burn. Well, tough. Let them burn.
That's what I was going to say. Conditioning.
Yeah.
But you can't say it was conditioning when he gives up a sack on the first offensive play.
That's correct.
You can't blame that on conditioning. So my thing is the 2025 story for Broderick Jones is going to be very important for his NFL career. But you could say that it's just the first chapter. I'd even call it the preface of what we just saw.
Yeah, but but Dave, the guys that were lining up against him, they've probably watched some tape. Okay, it's like poker. Broderick Jones, I think, has a tell as he comes in. Okay, meaning that as he takes that first step or two into pass protection, he gives away to the defense how they can beat him. Okay, he comes out. It's easy to see when he comes out too high. And almost every time he comes out too high, what does the defensive lineman do? Come in low, push him backwards, and go right into the quarterback.
Yeah. You
Okay.
can't. You don't want a predetermined move against Broderick Jones.
Then
you want to be able to dissect what he's doing first, quickly. And
sometimes when he was coming out lower, not every time, but sometimes he was coming out lower, but slower. And every time he came out slow, they took him to the speed to the outside. It's almost like the defense was able to get a quick read on him to know how to try to get the best of him. And he's going to have to clean that up.
yeah. And because bottom line is, what did he do in college? He was just bigger and more athletic than about everybody he went up against.
Yep.
Doesn't work that way. He didn't have to have perfect technique in order to get the job done in college. Now he does. And now it's still not there. But we knew that coming in when he was drafted, that he was a little bit more raw, and that's kind of how he was. But this is year 3 now.
This is year 3 now.
This is the pooper get off the pot. So week 1, below the bar. Not good enough. But does that mean Aaron Rodgers wasn't good enough? Because as we saw, Broderick Jones and Aaron Rodgers had the exact same overall PFF score.
Yeah, those guys were smoking some good stuff on Sunday, apparently.
Yeah. I knew other people were going to talk about it, so I tweeted it out yesterday as soon as I saw it, which was right when the grades came out. Then other people had it because I'm like, boy, this is going to be a fun breaking down the PFF grades, which we did have today, Tuesday at steelcurtnetwork.com. And I'm like, it doesn't matter how they did with the other grades. If they get an F minus just for that, it doesn't matter. That could have been the only question they missed, and you fail because that was a big fail. It's not that, and it's not that I have to say that they had to give Aaron Rodgers a great grade because he has more touchdown passes in 2025 than any other quarterback in the NFL. That doesn't mean that he also didn't have some plays that weren't what they should have been. But to give him but to have the exact same grade as Broderick Jones just goes to show you a flaw in the system.
Yeah, and who was it that commented on your story? It's like, Dave, you could have just led with that sentence. Enough said, grade F, and it could have been a really short.
That could have been the whole article. Well, I said I said that about the conclusion. Yeah. That I could have just left the conclusion at that. But what I have to do with the other is I got to try to inform people what the grades are. So the top grade for offense was Ben Skoranek. And you're like, oh, yeah, he did do pretty good catching that ball. No, the reason he graded so high wasn't his pass catching. It was his run blocking. His run blocking. Him and DK Metcalf had the 2 best run blocking grades. That sounds like Arthur Smith's offense right there.
As I like to call it, the little slip screen to DK where Skoranek's out in front blocking. Oh, what a fantastic job he did blocking on that play.
Yeah.
He locked that guy up and created a lane for DK Metcalf to go through, and DK Metcalf didn't miss it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that was great. I'm thinking, there was some good, like was it Jalen Warren and Pat Freiermuth on the block for Jonnu Smith's touchdown? There were some other, there was a couple of times I saw Roman Wilson in there, getting mixed. He only played 10 snaps. He was one of those that was kind of missing. Darnell Washington didn't get a target. Roman Wilson didn't get a target. But the Steelers put up 34 points. And Calvin Austin stepped up to say, hey, this week I'll take on the number 2 role. And he did a nice job. Do I think it's going to be him every week? No, because I don't think it has to be. So
I saw the questions flying on the website earlier today, and I thought they were correct, but I wasn't sure. Did you go back to look? Was the play they ran for Calvin Austin's touchdown basically the same thing they did where Skoranek caught the pass the first time, and the Jets kind of, I don't want to say jumped it, but more attention went to Skoranek, which allowed CA3 to be a little, to find an open spot?
I don't know.
It was a similar.
I don't know.
Play, but I know
was CA3 lined up on the left side of the offense when he caught that? Did he come across the formation, or was he on the right side and then went out to the corner? I'm not sure. I can't remember.
I don't know if he I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. I don't know if he motioned to the right side or he was in the slot right off the end of the line.
Yeah. So that's what I'm not sure is if he it's, to me, just thinking of it, I feel like Skoranek came across the formation more. That his was more of a shallow cross that he turned upfield.
No, but
not that it was that shallow.
The question was out there. Was Skoranek was out there on this touchdown? I'm not saying. The question was that some folks were feeling that they looked like the same exact play.
Gotcha.
We threw to Skoranek on the first one, and to Calvin Austin.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look. I don't know about that one. I don't, because like I said, I feel like Skoranek was running more horizontal when he caught the ball, and CA3 was running more vertical.
Yes.
At the moment they caught it.
Right, but I'm not saying CA3 was running the Skoranek route.
Uh-huh.
CA3 ran the same route.
Oh, the same route he ran on that play. Okay,
Correct.
now I got you. I'll have to go back and look at him.
It wasn't
That's
the same
interesting.
play, but to CA3.
But to a
It
different
was-
receiver. Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
Now I finally, but hey, I told you, it's been a long day. I was up very
There you
early
go.
this
Folks-
morning.
folks
It's
in the
finally
live
sinking
chat-
in.
Folks in the live chat are agreeing with
Yep.
me and said, yep.
It was the same play.
Same play.
Now you see why I wasn't sure, because I was thinking that you meant that CA3 was running the same route as Koronic. Okay.
No.
Now I got you. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. That I could see it. That, hey, run the same play, but it's a different option that's open this time. So,
But
just
just how much the thing for me there that I wanted to bring up after establishing that was, how nice is it to have the veteran quarterback then that just effortlessly made the correct read and delivered the ball on both of those.
And my question to you is this: did you expect anywhere close to this in week one?
No.
That Rodgers and Smith, meaning Coach Smith, would be lined up well enough for Rodgers to make those kind of good decisions in the moment to do those kind of things. I didn't expect it this early. I didn't think it was impossible. I just didn't expect it. And there it was, which was good, because there's a whole lot of other stuff that I did expect that didn't live up to that way.
Yeah, you could tell that the two of them, that Aaron Rodgers with offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, have spent a lot of time together, and they have talked about a lot of football stuff. Because I think Aaron Rodgers in those discussions was able to show Arthur Smith that he had a handle on things, and Arthur Smith trusted him that he had a handle on things. It just, I haven't seen the Steelers offense operate in that way since, I don't know, 2019 in the passing game.
Yeah. 2019, that's when Ben was out. So it would have been 2018.
Yeah.
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 It was nice to see. Nice to see. And anybody that doesn't think Aaron Rodgers still has a good arm needs to revisit that one, because he made a couple of his vintage, backpedaling, off balance throws and put them right on the money.
Yep. Hey, I'm checking something here.
Yeah.
All right. So far, I'm right on 3 of the 4. I'm working my way backwards of the Steelers' touchdowns. People are like, yeah, why didn't they target Washington in the red zone or anything like that? You want to know why? Because this isn't why, but this is a possible explanation. They never made it to third down. All their touchdowns were scored on first or second down.
That's interesting.
Now, it's not that they couldn't go to Washington on first or second down, but to me, if you're in the red zone and it's third down, you throw it to the big dude.
Yeah.
That's just the way I look at it. So maybe
Yeah,
they
you
had
get-
something
you get
in mind. Okay, after this play, let's dial up this. That if nothing else, he can, even if there's a whole bunch of pressure coming at him, you just throw it up to where you know the big guy's going to be. That was almost
been.
like their answer to how you would deal with third down pressure in the red zone. They never. Now, I'm not saying they didn't reach third down at all. I'd have to go back and double check to see if they had a third down before get in the red zone where they got another first down in the red zone. But they didn't have a third down. All their touchdowns were scored on first or second down. That's what that's the point I'm making. So.
Yeah, and that's probably a pretty good point, because really, to me, I'm thinking that the thought going into that game was, okay, if we get the third down, we're going to run a play, and hey, hey, Rodgers, throw it to the guy that's wide open, or throw it to the big guy.
Yeah. Yeah. That you could design a play, create that mismatch, more of a, in case of emergency, break glass.
Yes.
And they never reached that point. So I'm hoping that was the reason. that they didn't have to use Washington in the red zone. Doesn't mean they won't. This week, they just didn't have to. We still got a ton to talk about. We've got to talk about the run offense. We've got to talk about the defense. We've got to get to our scores for this week, but we've got to take a break. So if you're with us here on the on live, we're not going anywhere. If you're with us on the audio side, stick around. We'll be right back after this break.
Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax. Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry.
All right, we got to relax. Don't worry, because the Steelers have they have a crooked number in the win column and a nice round number in the loss column after 1 week. That's the best thing that you gotta worry about. All these other things are things that I like that the Steelers, if they're going to win, honestly, it might be better that they won a close game because they had to now identify, all right, there's a lot of stuff that we didn't do right. The defense is not happy with how they played. Before we jump to defense, anything you want to say specifically about the run game?
Other than the fact we just weren't opening up much room.
Mm-hmm.
A. B. Need a little more Jalen Warren.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw with my
I saw.
little discussion yesterday on our Slack channel, but
I was going to chime in, but you were basically saying everything I was going to say.
yeah,
Anyway,
I
so
did.
just
It's
let you know.
overreactions. It's overreactions. I mean, people are losing their mind. Some people are losing their mind that Kenneth Gainwell played 5 more snaps than Jalen Warren. Okay, 5 more snaps. So you're saying, well, is that a good thing? No, I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's what you want. I don't think it's desirable. But I also don't think it's the end of the world.
The one thing I don't think you said in it, well, I guess it kind of got hinted at, but for me was the point that needed to be driven home, was I don't know that was dictated so much by the game plan going in.
Yes.
I think that was more dictated by the flow of the game and what the Steelers were needing to do.
Yeah, and what ultimately... Oh, no, go ahead. You finish up.
So it really just comes down to then they were seeing some success in throwing the football, and the packages that they had set up then for the plays they wanted to run, everything through camp and everything, those things have been run with Kenny Gainwell, and that's why he was in for more snaps than Warren.
Yeah, and the thing is that I had to explain with Jeremy Betts, and, we can agree to disagree with that. We were the ones that were talking about it, is like he didn't necessarily understand this. I'm like, remember, they call out a package. For the most part, that determines who the running back. It's not like you're just swapping in the running back whenever you feel like it.
Yeah.
That you have a specific package with those plays, a personnel package that comes in. And it might have been that there was a package they didn't think they were going to use as much that had Gainwell, that then they ended up using more. Also, you knew that you weren't going to want to overwork Jalen Warren in the first week anyway. You didn't want to get him injured, all that other stuff, easing things in.
Splitting that stuff up was the best thing for both those guys' hamstrings.
Yes. And the thing is, where would you want Gainwell? Honestly, you'd probably want him more in the passing. And that's the thing. That's the discrepancy. Okay. Jalen Warren was in there for 14, because I forgot his pass blocking plays. According to PFF's breakdown of their stats, he was in there for 14 passing plays, where Kenny Gainwell was in there for 22 passing plays. Mm-hmm. That's the difference.
Yep.
Okay, Warren was in there for 4 more running plays than what Gainwell was. But Gainwell just happened to be out there more than they were passing. I also think that, I don't know if people noticed this. What were the first 2 plays on offense? The first play, Jalen Warren was in the game, and it was a play action pass. Warren was in. You might have expected them to hand it off to him, and they threw it. Then in comes Kenny Gainwell. So you're like, oh no, it's a sack. They might look to throw it
Second and
now.
long.
And what they do? They handed it off to the guy that you thought might have been coming in because it was a passing situation. It's almost like they did that at the very beginning to try to say, hey, we'll do either thing with either guy.
Yeah.
So I know, and I had called it on the Q&A. I said, I don't think Caleb Johnson's getting 5 touches in this game. Now, if you count the kick returns, he did. But he got 1 carry. And that's just how I thought that they were going to play things. And I didn't understand this mentality so many Steelers fans had going in. Caleb Johnson's going to be the guy. He's going to even be the guy. The question isn't when he's going to, or if he'll be the guy, but will it be by week 1? Will he start the season as the feature back? He was never going to start the season as the feature back. He might not end this season as the feature back. That hasn't been the plan. Now, do they stick to the plan? We'll have to see. So, yeah. And I'm going to bring this up now to say this. Brian, you keep saying this crap. Brian Brown, if PFF made a category for almost a tackle, do you think Patrick Queen will win Defensive Player of the Year? He had 0 missed tackles in this game.
None.
0. None. This is something that drives me crazy. There are so many things that fan narrative in their preconceived notion drives their judgment. Okay? I had fans saying, and I don't want to call people out specifically, oh man, Dean Lowry is terrible. They need to get him off the field. There's only one problem. Dean Lowry's on IR.
Yeah.
He's not number 5, not number 94 anymore. Who's number 94?
Mr. Black.
Y.A. Black. Now, as soon as fans knew that was Y.A. Black, oh, he's not doing that bad. So exactly how a player was going, your judgment of what he was doing had everything to do with the name on the back and not the performance on the field. There are people that don't like Aaron Rodgers that are going to pick apart everything that he does. Just like people did it with Kenny Pickett, just like people did it with Mason Rudolph, just like they did it with Russell Wilson. Okay? And not judge it for what it is based on what they already think and how they want to be right about the player. So, Brian, I'm sorry I'm calling you out, but stop your crap with Patrick Queen.
But listen,
You're screaming a false narrative.
some people have those preconceived or those thoughts already in their head, and they get national TV and radio shows.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just, it's just kind of how it was. So, and of course, here's the thing. People were saying, oh, Cam Hayward was terrible in this game. He was so bad against the run. That's because fans are mad at him with the whole contract thing. Now, you can't say when they started off the game because everyone was out there on the field and there was a lot of things that went wrong. But in the second half, pretty much when Cam was out there, the running game was doing better. When they busted off back-to-back 16 and 17-yard runs in the third quarter, Cam wasn't on the right side. It was Y.A. Black, a young player who I really like and I think can evolve into a good player. He just did not have a good game this week in his first NFL game. He did not.
He's not there yet, and I'm sure that there were plenty of nerves and things like that. I have the confidence that he's going to work on things, and eventually he's going to work those things out. Just a young player, okay? But I noticed that too, that the run, even though the running game kept, it's not like the running game disappeared when Cam Hayward was in there. But when Cam Hayward was in there, things were 3-yard runs, 4-yard runs, maybe a 5-yard run versus that 15. It's like, it's almost like, Cam was helping to, best way I could describe it, gum up the works enough so that plays could get made.
Yeah.
And I think that the run defense will get cleaned up. I'm pretty confident in that. Yeah.
Well, there was a question. I'm going to see. Here we go. It skipped ahead on me, so I might not be able to go back and find it. Okay, here it is. I did. Here we go. Valley Ford said, "Who missed the most tackles?" This is according to PFF. PFR's advanced. They don't have the same numbers. I like PFR's better. They just take longer to come out. They won't be out till tomorrow. So all I have for these kind of stats, which aren't official stats, is from PFF. And there's a lot of times there's a discrepancy between them. All right. But their missed tackles, they had 2 players that had 2 missed tackles for the Steelers. That was Darius Slay and Y.A. Black. They both had 2. Then players that were credited with 1 missed tackle was Peyton Wilson, Alex Highsmith, and TJ Watt. Okay. That's the way it went.
I remember the Watt one.
Okay.
I was like, oh.
Now, according to PFF, the most tackles was Patrick Queen. According to the Steelers media website, it was a tie between Patrick Queen and Alex Highsmith. So if you're wondering about who made the tackles.
Yeah.
So just putting that out there, Patrick Queen had the second highest grade in run defense behind TJ Watt. TJ Watt had a great grade in run defense. And did you see the graphic that kind of showed that all of Breece Hall's runs ran away from TJ Watt? Yeah. That's just what they did. So I'm not saying that Queen had a great game. I wouldn't say that either. But he did not have the best. I mean, he had a great tackling score. He had a great run defense score. He got dinged on his coverage. That's
right.
Which that passed my eye test, honestly. So we kind of transitioned to defense because of this.
No,
so
we're okay.
just
well, I felt when looking at the 2 inside linebackers, just for me, if you'd asked me at the end of the game, how was the inside linebacker play? I was happier with Queen than Wilson.
Oh yeah.
That.
And now there was times where, like, I know there was a great play where you could see that they were running the option where Fields could hand it off or keep it, and Highsmith was assigned the running back, and he went for him, and Peyton Wilson was assigned Justin Fields, and he stopped him.
Yeah.
So, and J.J. Watt was pointing that one out. That was a nice play. So it's not, that's the thing with the Steelers defense. It's not like they didn't have times where they did some good things. It was really tough to find some good things with Keanu Benton. He had a rough game. He gives up way too much ground as a nose tackle. And that kind of hurts your linebackers. Yeah. The defensive line not having the best game was rough. Alex Highsmith was kind of all over the place. I think he had 8 pressures. He was the best pass rusher on the field. Better pass rushing numbers than TJ Watt. But they dropped him in coverage a couple times. It wasn't very good. Didn't do as well. Did okay against the run. And all in all, we kind of averaged out. Okay. So that's what it was. But there's problems with the defense. And bottom line is, your big boys up front just have to be mean and nasty and take up space. That's why I didn't play defensive line, because I could take up space, but I wasn't mean and nasty enough. That's why I only played on offense. For a small school where everybody played both ways. It's at me.
I don't know, Dave.
Yeah.
We used to share a room.
Mm-hmm.
You were pretty nasty.
Yeah, I was gonna say not my odor, just my attitude. Okay, so once again, you got Steelers fans talk about, are they playing people out of position? And I'm not saying that you're wrong. I don't know that Keanu Benton is the answer at nose tackle, but honestly, how often are they using him as a nose as well? I think where he's best is one of the 2 interior defensive linemen when they're in sub package. That's probably where he's going to be best. But I wanted him to take a jump last year, and he didn't. And I feel like already he's taken a step in the wrong direction this year. Sometimes that's just, there's lots of room to grow after this one. We'll just say that. Yep. So, yeah. And anything else you want to say more about, like the run defense or anything?
Nope. Run defense.
No, Mark brought up another one. We didn't even mention this. Loudermilk has no business being out there, though. I didn't think he was going to make the 53.
I really didn't.
I didn't want him to, but I mean, my goodness. If
I think big.
if Cam Hayward wouldn't have been playing Louder, I mean, didn't Loudermilk start anyway? Still,
I think so.
that's the next guy they have in, and I don't get it. I don't like it, but it's what they do.
Yeah, I think Big Dan gave him the Tomlin pictures or something.
Yeah. No, my thing is maybe Omar Khan hasn't felt the need to hold on to Kevin Colbert's draft picks, but they brought Isaiah Loudermilk back this year when he was a free agent. Okay. Remember this, Steelers fans. This is why I'm not a fan of Isaiah Loudermilk. They put a lot of faith in him. They traded a fourth-round draft pick in the next year's draft to draft him in the 5th round. Now, like I said, that was Colbert, so I don't know how Khan feels, but maybe that was a Tomlin thing as well. But just remember this. Isaiah Loudermilk did not get a decent contract offer from 31 NFL teams. He came back to the Steelers for about as cheap as you could be. He's on one of those 4-year veteran salary benefit contracts, meaning you played with the team 4 years all the time, blah, blah, blah. There you go. That they did that special with Terrell Edmonds a couple of years, in his 5th year, where they could actually give him more money that didn't count on the salary cap. He's a low cap. He's not making a bunch of money. Yet, that's who the Steelers want to have start out there. The fact that he hit free agency and then came back to the Steelers, no takers, tells you what the rest of the NFL thinks of him.
Yeah.
Nobody else looked at him even as a viable backup. And the Steelers are wanting to put him out there when Derek Harmon's out injured.
Yeah.
Now, did Y.A. Black play great? No.
No.
Did Keanu Benton play great? No.
No.
Did Loudermilk play the worst out of all of them? Yeah. You know who quietly actually played pretty good, but you didn't notice a ton because he only played about like 10 or 12 snaps? Here, let me look. Yeah, 12 snaps. Daniel Ekuale.
Actually, I noticed him out there a couple times.
Number 96.
And I thought the way I would have put his snaps is he didn't kill us.
Yeah, he was the highest graded defensive lineman. Yeah. I mean, just ahead of Cam Hayward. Cam Hayward still had a decent grade, but once, like I said, people were upset with Cam because of the contract stuff. Oh, look, they gave him this extra money. No, they didn't give him any extra money. If the Steelers don't make the playoffs, he gets nothing. Nothing. Remember that. Logan Lee played 1 snap, and that's because Cam Hayward got poked in the eye. And they were going with 4 down linemen.
I thought maybe Cam was going to come back into that game because after he got poked in the eye, they called a
timeout.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I guess he still wasn't ready. So bottom
I
line
was
is,
glad he was down on his knee, and when he stood up, the first thing I turned to Warren and said was, "He got poked in the eye."
yeah, I even saw a beat reporter say it was even a contact issue. Could have been the contact got jolted and sucked back in the back of his eyeball or something. So all kinds of stuff like that.
I've had that happen before, but not for almost 10 years or so now.
Yeah.
So Cam,
I've never worn contacts, so it doesn't matter.
laser vision.
So there are some question marks there. I mean, I have to say defensively, that's where you have to put the biggest blame on a rough performance was on the defensive line.
Yes. Everything else that wasn't going great there stemmed off of the play of the defensive line.
Yeah. And then because John S. asked, did Cam have to settle to play with a head injury since it was an eye? Is that a rule? No. The head injury thing you've got to be cleared by the neurologist, but it wasn't that he was there was no issue with a concussion. Everyone who comes off if they stop play for an injury, you have to come off for one play. Unless there's a timeout, and there was a timeout. So, yeah. So I tell you what, didn't see much. I kept noticing. I'm going to say this wrong. No, I'm going to say it this way. I kept noticing in the first half that I wasn't noticing Jalen Ramsey up until right before halftime.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's not really getting into stuff. He's like, oh, there he is. And yeah, he showed what he brings to the Steelers, in my opinion. He's one of those guys that if he's not on your team, you're not gonna like him. But I mean, but so was that was Hines Ward. That was Hines Ward. And
Yeah.
we love us some Hines Ward.
We love
Okay.
some Hines Ward.
So that doesn't make him a bad dude. It just means that he's that type of player.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's us. Anything else you want to bring up?
Look, here's what then I'll finish up the Jalen Ramsey thing. He got to going and, well, he drew the one penalty and he got to yapping at the end of the first half and this and that. But
That's a pretty good acting job to draw that penalty, actually.
But the biggest thing he said was what he said at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it without having to run his mouth.
Yes. That play was just like he just made a football play and knocked it away. And honestly,
He was a guy that talked the talk and then walked the walk.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he did.
Yeah. Here's one where this Big Pun had said this, I think, in the post-game show, but it didn't get brought up. Said, that was a game where we missed a Landon Roberts. We have no ILB thumper on this roster. I don't know that I agree with that. I don't know that a Landon Roberts would have been able to do much in this game with what was happening at the defensive line. Honestly. Yeah. Maybe he could have. Yes, it would help to have an Landon Roberts, but when the defensive line is getting pushed around that bad, that makes the job on the linebackers that much harder.
Yeah, especially your inside linebackers there, because typically what you're wanting them to be able to run downhill, to make that downhill run into the hole and stop the back, right?
Yeah.
But with the defensive lineman getting pushed back, you can't get that momentum going to get up in there and get somebody. You're getting caught up in the wash. And that's what I noticed a couple times. Peyton Wilson got caught up bad in the wash on the one run. It was like, oh, he could, he wanted to get over and make the play, but his defensive lineman legs are all tangled up in him.
Yeah.
It all stemmed from the defensive line. It really did.
But when push come to shove, let's actually talk about some things here. Because I had typed it in the open thread on SteelCurtainNetwork.com that when the Jets got the ball back about 5.5 minutes, I'm like, Steelers might not touch the ball again.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Said the Jets, if they can run the ball, they could do. Wasn't that New England last year that just ran and ran, or was it 2 years ago, whatever it was, just ran and ran and ran, and the Steelers never got the ball again.
Yeah.
And it was just like, this was disappointing. Okay. But here's what happened. They threw a short pass. Brandon Echols made the play, only went for 5 yards. 2nd and 5. They handed it off to Breece Hall. But who's in the game? And they hand him off, going towards the defensive right side, the offensive left side. But who's in the game? Cam Hayward makes the tackle, only gets 2 yards. 3rd down. Justin Fields going to run it. What happens? Chuck Clark gets him for a 2-yard loss.
Yep. That was a nice play by Clark on that one. That was
huge. They get a 1st down there. The Steelers might not touch the ball again. Because honestly, every time the Jets got a 1st down, I looked this up before. I got to make sure I'm right. I'm just looking. Every time the Jets got a 1st down on a drive, they put up points. Every drive, where if they got 1 1st down, they put points on the board.
Ooh,
the Steelers either had to stop them with no 1st downs, or else they would score.
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta clean that up.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's so funny because Foots Big says, watch the Jets beat the Bills this week, LOL. And this is my point I brought up with the topic, is that week 2 is about perspective. Did the Steelers have an impressive win over the Jets or not? If the Jets come out and get blown out by Buffalo, and then I don't even know what they do in week 3, and the next couple weeks it shows that the Jets are going to be 0-3, then the Steelers scooting by and giving up 32 points, probably not good. You don't know that Bills defense, they gave up 40. So we'll have to see how that goes. So that's why it puts it into perspective. Because I'm saying the Bills play the Jets. See, the Ravens play the Browns. The Browns played the Bengals tough.
Yeah.
Bengals only won by a point. I didn't see a single thing for that game.
Freaking Browns kicker misses a 26-yard field goal.
Did he?
Yes.
I had no idea.
To take the lead. They had a chance to take the lead, and the Browns kicker missed a 26-yard field goal.
My example with how great Boz is look, Atlanta had a chance to tie it up, and they missed a 44-yarder.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
The Browns did on that in that game. So.
Okay, I'm going to bring this up because we talked about these kind of things earlier. Broderick Jones is a bust. Can't we say that? This is from Useless Knowledge 904. No, we can't. This isn't over. You're talking about one game where he moved back to left tackle. Now, are we concerned about him? Completely.
Yes.
Is he down? Okay, this is kind of like, okay, I know we're running late, but I'm going to throw this out there. This is kind of like what I say to my children when they're not behaving. Okay? Whenever something's going on, I'll use my daughter. She's the oldest as an example because everything. I'll just say, hey, then you're not going. You're not allowed to do this or something. And she'll just look at me. Now, does that mean that that's what I'm saying? No. And she knows this because we've had this conversation. That is the path you're on. If you're going to continue down the path you're on, then this is going to be the consequence. This is your opportunity right now to change course. If Broderick Jones continues down the path that he set in week 1 of very inconsistent play and having a lot of technique issues, then guess what? He's on the bust road right now. He is.
Yeah,
I'm not going to deny that.
But
he's got a chance to change course.
We have always said, I know we've talked about on this show before, when do you decide someone's a bust? Year 3.
Yeah.
Broderick Jones is in year 3. This is the make or break. Was it a good start? No. But if we're still playing the same way halfway through the season, you start to get to the point where it's like, he's not shown us anything he's got a half a season left. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Kind of
See, here's one. Robert Rhodes says that was the worst game of Brod's career. Wrong. Yeah. You forget week 2 last year when he was swapping with Fontanu when they were rotating, and he had the penalties. It was the sacks. It was really, really, really bad. Where they just stuck with Fontanu then, and then Fontanu gets hurt. The next week at practice, Broderick Jones right back to it. Last year, week 2, that you don't get much worse than that. This wasn't good. No. But that's like the measuring stick of bad game for an offensive lineman. Yeah. So, yeah. So, I mean, but that's the thing. A team is not who they are in week 1 for the whole season. That's just how it is. Jeff brought up the example of how good the New Orleans Saints offense started last season. Then that team was awful. Okay? So this is the path that the Steelers are on right now. They're on the path of being one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. They're on the path. I don't know if anyone rushed for more yards. I didn't even look. Okay, they are on the path of
what do you mean?
Of giving up so many points on defense.
What did you mean? Not sure if anybody rushed for more yards
than the Jets did.
Oh yes, Baltimore did.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I didn't check the exact numbers. I assume they did, but so I don't know that they're the dead last or whatever. But that's all this one game does is it sets you on the path. But this is also why when I did Stat Geek or even when I do the stats portion of Pittsburgh Standard Time, I don't start looking at these things until at least week 4, because you have to have at least 3, if not 4 games to actually get an idea of what the numbers represent. So right now the Steelers are a bad run defense. They're a bad defense at giving up points. The Steelers are a great scoring offense. They're a great passing offense, efficiency wise. They're a poor running offense, and Chris Boswell was all pro, which I think he's going to be anyway, but still. That's where they are right now. Week 2 is where we have a chance for this to change. This is the opportunity to change everything. But you don't want to change everything. You want the good to stay good, and you want the bad to get better. And that's what we want to see this week. Rich, don't give me a score yet. We haven't got to that. What are you wanting to see this week more than anything?
Let's not give up 200 plus yards of rushing.
Mm-hmm. Well, they didn't give up 200 yards of rushing, but don't do that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was one. Yeah. They
gave up 182.
Yeah. Which that's, I think, close to or almost what just Derrick Henry had the other night.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's make him. I'm one of those that tries to be a realist. I don't expect to see something turn from, giving up 182 rushing yards to giving up 22 rushing yards.
Yeah.
But, let's keep that number into something we can tolerate. That would be number one. And then number 2 is we have to do a better job running the ball. Both things I want to see improvement in has to do with running. I want to see us get better at stopping it and us better at running it.
Yeah. That's what you think of when you think of Pittsburgh Steelers football. And that's not who they are right now. And I think that's why fans are like, what's really going on here? And I get it. I get it. Just don't completely overreact. All right. So for me, I don't expect as much scoring in this game as there was last week, which means there'll probably be more. I don't expect this game to get out of hand one way or the other going against Seattle. Once again, even though it's week 2, it's really more about how the Steelers play and not who the Steelers play.
Yeah.
Coach Tomlin said that's what it was last week. I think it's again this week because they have to be better up front in the defense, and that's just going to help with everything. It really is. So I don't think that Derek Carman is going to be some magic savior whenever he does make it back. I think it'll help, but I'm not ready to lay that burden on, even though he's a first-round draft pick, on a rookie. Okay? So, yeah. So that's one thing I want to see is I want to see improvements in those areas. Exactly right. And you know what I want them to do? I want them to improve in those areas and get the win along the way. That's what I'm asking for. All right, we got to get to it. We are running way over tonight, but we had a lot of great stuff to talk about.
And I want to see Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers continue playing chess.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the part you want to see keep going. You need the line to take some steps. I mean, Zach Frazier was the highest graded pass blocker on the offense of anyone on the Steelers. So there was no snap problems. That was something that could have been a story that never was. So that was pretty good. Remember, those things went into the regular season last year, and they didn't this past week. The penalties, the Steelers kept the penalties down. The one on Jalen Ramsey was crap. The one on Connor Hayward, people were going to point it out because they don't like Connor Hayward. That was very questionable of whether that actually was what they said it was. It was close, but it wasn't awful.
I think what did they say on that?
See, at first they said it was a late hit, and it wasn't late. But then they said, but on the website it said it was a block in the back, which was really close because I thought he got his head in front, but that was a tough call.
It was one of those where it's like, I could see why they called it, but they really didn't have to call it.
Yeah. So, all right. So we got to get rolling. Rich, give me your score for this Sunday. Steelers, Seahawks at Acrisure Stadium. For those of you that might be new here, don't put your score in yet. I'll ask for it at the appropriate time, and then we'll read them all.
What will the score be at Acrisure Stadium? Right now, I'm not sure, but I do know that when the clock hits 0, I'll be staring at the score in the stadium.
Yes. For my seats.
From your seats.
Yeah.
Don't ask. It's a long
That's a long story.
Yeah. So yes, we'll be at the game and looking forward to being at the game. However, the last time I was at the Steelers at this time of year against the Seahawks, it was not good
Yeah.
in 2019. That was the game. The elbow went out. Looking for better things this time. I don't think it's going to be, I'm like you, I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way. I'm going to go with my favorite score and say the final
what it
score
is.
is Steelers 23,
3.
Seahawks 19.
23-19. So I don't give my score now because I have to give it on the preview, and I can't give those guys the advantage of knowing it ahead of time. So if you put your score in there early, I'm not going to bring it up. But I just now sent it out and said scores. So people that see it and hear it, you can put them in there. We're going to bring them up of what everyone else's score is going to be for this week. We'll get through
Send
this
them out.
hopefully as quick as possible, since we've run way over, but I had to
Hang
get
tight,
all my...
you're gonna get a whole bunch at once here.
Yeah,
Okay?
because... Well, yeah, I did.
I told you.
They jumped. All right, so here we go. We've got
Gabriel Golden was
Steeler
first.
Chick 46. That's the first one I got. Is Steelers 34, Seattle 21.
Dude,
That's high.
that-
Huh? That's the first one I got
Okay.
on here.
Yep. Go.
Okay. All right. Then we've got
line.
now that we have names back and not just the @ symbols on YouTube. That was great. Thomas Riley. He's got to go
Dave,
Seahawks
I've
23.
I've got that you
Steelers
missed,
23.
I've got that you missed 3. There were 3 before that.
From where I said scores,
Okay.
that's the first one that I have here. It was Steeler Chick 46. If they didn't show up, people are going to have to put them back in there because I got Steelers Chick 46. Thomas, I can't wait because then it skips. Brent Howell says 24-12 Steelers. Outside Steelers fan says good guys 34, Hawks 14. The defense will be back. See, once again, I'm so far behind. This takes forever to have to skip back. Afton says 21-20. That's Steelers. If you don't put Steelers, we know that's what you mean. Okay. John Butte. That's what I'm going with. 24-10 Steelers.
Let me just say something. Gabriel Golden, Matt Catt, Brian Brown, redo yours.
Yeah, because those
were the
they didn't
three-
show
those
up
were the
in
three
ours.
that didn't show up.
Pickens, you big dummy, says 24-14 Steelers. With every one of these, it jumps to the bottom. And then I have to go back. Patricia Castaneda says 27-20 Steelers. Pittsburgh Toddy says 24-16 Steelers. Eric Weidman, or Weidman, I'm going to say Weidman. All right, is Steelers 30, Seahawks 10. Then we've got Mr. Woodside says Steelers 23-20. Here we go. I've got Mark Malone 31-17 Steelers. There I got Big Pun with 24-22 Steelers. Valley Ford has 31-21 Steelers. Sam W. Steele has Steelers 24, Seahawks 17. Matt Catt was that one that needed it. That needed
that was
to
one that
redo it.
needed a redo.
Matt Catt's got 27-16 Steelers. Steelers fan says 28-21 Steelers. Gabriel Golden got his back in there. Thank you. That was just thanks for putting that out there. I can't bring them up if they're not there. Gabriel Gordon says 27-13 Steelers. I think that was so many people tried to put one out there at the same time that Riverside couldn't handle it.
Yep, that's exactly I think what happened.
Brian Keene, I hope I said that right. Steelers 30, Seahawks 20. Yeah, I got Matt Katz. Hey, I like this one. This is turning it around. Jamal McCullum, 17-0 Steelers. Brian Brown has 24-6 Steelers. Andre Green has Steelers 41. Seahawks 14. That would be a pretty interesting one right there. We'll see if any more pop up here before we go. I will say this. Make sure you're checking out all our podcasts. We had to switch up the order of some things this week because of when some shows are. Steel City Insider's been trying to have a beat reporter from the team they cover, so they have to change up when that person can actually do the show. So I think Steel City Insider and the and the Steelers Fix are swapping spots this week. I think you can get the Steelers Fix tomorrow. Other than that, we will have all our regular podcasts. We'll get we're into our weekly routine at steelcurtainetwork.com. Make sure you check that out. Getting lots of good discussions on articles. We really are. It's a whole lot of fun there. I'll tell you this. I know it's tough not to overreact. It really is. And people that are concerned about things, you're not wrong for being concerned. But remember this. Coach Tomlin, whether you like him, whether you don't, he says something that is really important here to remember for this week. What is that, Rich? 2 is a pattern.
Yeah.
When the Steelers can't stop the run this week, that's a really bad thing because 2 is a pattern. If the Steelers can't run the ball this week, that's really bad. 2 is a pattern. If they can't protect the quarterback, that's really bad. 2 is a pattern. Let's see if they establish the pattern, and then we'll come back next week and we'll have double the data next week whenever we go to make these conclusions.
Sample size. That's something that
Yes.
I kept thinking about after the game the other night was sample size. Remember, right now we're talking about a sample size of 1. Anybody that makes final determinations off a sample size of 1 is not much of a scientist. So
Yes.
let's get a little more data. We can be concerned, yes, but we need to, as Brian just posted, RELAX.
Yes.
Relax. Concerned, but relax. Let's not jump off the bridge yet. Let's wait and get a little more data. Because right now, we'd be jumping off the bridge for a whole bunch of things. And I can tell you what we're all going to want to line up for in a few weeks and jump off a bridge about is not going to be all the same things.
Yep.
One of them may still be there, but not all of them. So I think it's just let's continue to gather that data. Some of that data is going to make me feel better. I'm worried that we're going to get some data that's going to make me worry a little more. That's okay. At least when we start to narrow that down as a team, the Steelers can then focus more on that. So, I can't wait for the weekend because I get to go to the game. Yay! It's supposed to be really nice weather. Yay! I'll be driving up to Pittsburgh with the top off on the Jeep. Yay!
Yay.
Hoping for a nice, Heinz Field Renegade, Acrisure
Yep.
Stadium. But really what I'm hoping for is to be able to come back next Tuesday and take that deep breath with everybody in here and breathe in that sweet smell of a Steeler victory. Can't wait.
We gotta just chill out, man.
Can't wait.